Brighten and protect your garden. Cuprinol, proud sponsors of Super Garden. Cheer it up.
In 5 weeks, one of these aspiring gardeners will join the professionals at Ireland's premier garden show. Their challenge? To design and build a show garden. The winner will be recreated at Bloom to represent Woodies and Cuprinol. Susie Kahn was given the Martin family's back garden in Kimmage as her blank canvas. Sean and Yinka want a garden to entertain family and friends.
Relatively low maintenance garden because we don't really know much about gardening.
Susie has created a design that brings the wild countryside to the urban neighbourhood. When mentor Leonie paid a visit, the Paradise Green seemed to jar with Susie's eco plans.
The green is just the wrong shade of green for that garden.
Now just past the halfway point, the clock is ticking.
I get asked sometimes, have you a lot to do in the garden today? And I think, yeah, I've totally a lot to do. I've had a lot to do since I started. I'm beginning to almost live in this garden.
The Paradise Green is going, and for homeowner Sean, maybe this teal colour will better connect with the interior of his house.
Oh no, it's terrible. No, just kidding. Sean is brilliant. What do you think?
It's better. Yeah.
Inka likes it? Yeah.
Better.
There seems to be no shortage of helpers for Susie, which allows time for upcycling.
Leonie has said to me a couple of times, just watching, that I'm not over cluttering the site. So I actually think these, they're just a little point of interest without being too much clutter.
With the bicycle wheels on the road to reimagining, artist Susie keeps the ball rolling with a visual effect on the back wall.
If the tops of the hills are going to be back there somewhere, and then up here we're into the sky. So there's some nice trees.
Done today.
Well, you were free again the rest of the week?
I am, yeah.
Another addition to the bottom of the garden is a hen house, but not just any old coop.
The hen house is really becoming a hobbit house. Will it fit that way? Okay.
Slowly, put my hand.
So the hobbit house is one that's just built into the hillside. It's in grass over the roof, and it fits very well with the permaculture idea of living lightly on the earth. That's the only lawn in the garden. You can hang out on the roof.
A week to go, and for Susie, the plants are key for her permaculture-based design.
By having all my volunteers and the kind of community and family build we've been doing, I've been able to conserve quite a lot of budget for the plants. And I am hoping to spend, I don't know, maybe 2,000 euros, maybe 1,700. So my planting scheme is extremely diverse and is extremely high yielding. I'm hoping to have apples, pears, nuts, violas and primulas are going into the garden. Lovely, lovely colours. Also, if you allow them to naturalise in the garden and keep them for a second season, you can actually eat the flowers of all of those.
Leonie is on site today to help with planting, and she's happier with the teal wall colour.
I'm well impressed with your wall, I have to say.
It looks a lot better, Leonie, doesn't it?
It's beautiful now. It's just kind of, it's a nice colour, but it also allows the garden to stand for itself, you know, but yet it's still a feature colour.
The plants arrive. Susie has spent over €2,000 on a combination of annuals, ornamentals, alpines and production specimens.
Oh, nice choices. Look at these. Blueberries.
Blackcurrants, rhubarb.
Oh, and the golden marjoram. You've thought of everything.
I hope so.
For educator Susie, she can't help teaching to share her passion.
A herb spiral is a permaculture teaching tool because they're like little mountains.
Yeah.
So you can say that your times go up on the top where it's dry, like thyme actually grows, or something that goes on a sunny side of a hill, you can put on a sunny side, or something that's in the dip where there's moisture. So
really
they're
clever.
often used as part of teaching in permaculture.
Yeah, and they look really good too.
Since I saw the plants coming into it, I just love this garden. I mean, I really do love it. I've put my heart and soul into it. I'm over the moon about it. Into a hole?
There we go. I think Susie has created a garden really worthy of bloom. It's stunning.
With the finishing touches complete, Susie is now ready for the judges to review her entry to the title of Super Garden 2015. 5 weeks ago, this was the space Susie was given. She promised to deliver a garden the Martin family could grow into. And this is the garden Susie has created. It's assessment day and the judges are making their way to Kimmage.
I've put everything that I have creatively into this garden. It's very challenging because I took a lot on. I'm very proud of what has become a gorgeous garden, and I'm just hoping that the judges see it that way too.
Roisin Lafferty, Gary Graham and Paddy Gleeson are here. Their mission to inspect every aspect of Susie's garden and to decide if her design is the garden for Bloom 2015. It's time to face the judges.
So you're happy with everything you've achieved?
I am. I'm thrilled with everything I've achieved, actually. I think I took permaculture design and brought it to an urban garden, and I was very conscious of making the garden extremely easy maintenance.
Well, is it not basically an edible landscape? An edible landscape, weeds are going to grow, and so there's going to be a maintenance element there.
So it's not all an edible landscape.
No, it's not all, no.
So the one side of the garden has a lot of just nature elements in it, and on this side of the garden, all of that's been really heavily mulched, so as that weeds can't get a hold.
And does it work with the home? Is it one tied to the other, or is it a very different space?
There's quite a lot of contrast to the interior of the house, but it is like a view out of a window to the countryside or a painting on a wall.
Are you happy with the standards of the construction in this garden?
I can hold my head up over almost everything in this
Almost.
garden. I, as an amateur, took on, with good advice, now it has to be said, I'd Kevin, but it was literally a first. You know, if I'm going to Bloom, I actually would pay someone to do those couple of bits.
But Susie, you know how this process works. We have to judge you on what we see
Yeah,
here
absolutely.
today.
You have a very strong teal wall and everything else is quite neutral. Why didn't you continue colour throughout?
Funny enough, two skills that are very difficult to get people to volunteer are plastering and building patios. So this wall as the rendered wall was the only one I could play with as a feature.
We can see the passion and the energy and everything you've brought to this, and it's a huge achievement. So how will you feel if you don't get to bring this to Bloom?
I will be very sad if I don't get to bring this to Bloom. For me, permaculture is not a little bit of something. It is a whole design approach. This is what you can do, the whole of what you can do.
Susie, well done. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I feel I've done a good job and I'm leaving here happy. Sad to leave my garden behind, but I'm leaving here happy.
Certainly is going to be a high maintenance garden, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work by the Martin family, completely overplanted.
For me, this garden is made up of a great attention to detail, you know, down to the labelling of the plants. Everything has been considered.
There's lots of really interesting features. I particularly like that geodesic dome. I'm not a huge fan of polythene structures, but that adds something that's a little bit interesting, a little bit quirky. If you look at any of the really good designers, the top designers, people who've done well at Bloom or across the water, they're people who have passion, people who have a belief and a knowledge about something, and then they turn that into design and they bring it to gardening. And she definitely has that. So yeah, she could do Bloom and she could do a fantastic job.
I hope I've really raised awareness of permaculture for people in Ireland to get intrigued and interested.
The Martin family now get to enjoy their new garden.
We would never have dreamed of putting something like this into the garden ourselves, or we never have thought of putting in something like this, but we really love it.
Oh yeah, that is cute. We would love to see our garden in bloom. I think it deserves to be in bloom.
We got here, Sadie, huh?
There's so many different parts to it that every time you look around you see something new, you're like, oh, I didn't know that was there.
It looks like a real gardener's garden. So we better get gardening.
This is Susie Cahn's entry to the Super Garden competition. Has she done enough to make it to bloom? Next week on Super Garden, florist Wagemaker will attempt to win over the judges with his garden in Tuam for the Burke family.
I'm an amateur garden designer, but I'm no novice.
Florist's brief is to design a space for Catherine and Chelsea that also honours the memory of Catherine's mother, Kitty.
Yeah, it's been hard because I missed you so much.
Will Florist be up for the Super Garden Challenge? Can a Mediterranean garden really make it to bloom? Florist has to do better than Grace's Woodland Retreat, Brian's Accessible Garden and Susie's Permaculture Garden to win the title. For details on everything that went into Susie's garden, go to rte.ie/tv/supergarden. And for conversation and competitions, join us on our Super Garden Facebook page.
Brighten and protect your garden. Cupernall, proud sponsors of Super Garden. Cheer it up.